Now I'd like to talk a little bit about live set technology. Live set technology is what we use in the TriCaster to create our virtual set effects like what you're seeing me in right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we set up a live set. We're going to start out with a piece of green screen footage coming into the TriCaster. Now this is actually coming in from a DVD player, but it could just as easily be a live camera bringing in someone on a green screen. The first thing that we need to do is set up the key. When we deal with live sets, we're going to go to the Input Setup tab, and inside of Input Setup, we're going to go ahead and put the input that we're going to try and set the key on both live and preview. This way, we'll be able to see the results on our output monitor as we're tweaking the key. The first thing that we're going to do is select the color that we're going to key out, and we do this in our live matte area down here at the bottom of the interface. So I'm going to come to the color swatch, right-click and hold, and I get an eyedropper, and I continue to hold the right mouse button. And now as I move the eyedropper up, you'll see that every color that it travels over is represented by that color swatch. So I'm just going to come right up to the green area on my preview monitor here and let go. That selects that color green for the key. I'll go ahead and turn Live Matte on, and we can see the start of our key. Now, we've got tolerance and smoothing controls. I'm going to go ahead and left-click and drag them all the way down to nil. And now we can start to bring them up, and we can get rid of all of the green. We're basically broadening the range of green that we're keying out by taking that up. Of course, the higher up we go, the more we're going to key out until we eventually key it all out. So you want to just get it to where we've got a nice key on him. We've got the background removed. Now, depending upon your key source, you may want to apply some smoothing. And smoothing will smooth out the edges of your key. Now again, you don't want to go too far on that because it will start to erode away the key and start to make some transparent areas. Things that you want to remember when setting up a key are we want to make sure that we have the best possible video signal coming in, and this would of course be an SDI signal, or if you don't have SDI available, go with component. You can key with an S-video signal, but the quality will not be as great. And you can also key with a composite signal, but the quality will be the worst of all of the selections. You also want to make sure that your lighting is set up appropriately on your background. If we can go to a shot of our entire studio here, you can see that we just have some green paper taped up on the wall behind us. We're using two lights in front of me to evenly light the green wall behind me. And we have a hair light back behind me that highlights me from the back, which also helps define the key a little bit better. Now we've got the key set up, and again, we set our smoothing and our tolerance, and you just need to play with those controls a little bit to get the best possible key. You also have some edge controls here. These allow you to expand and contract the matte around the talent, so we can bring the matte out or we can shrink it in. This is a great way to help alleviate edges if you're having some problem with edges around the talent. We can also blur on X and Y, and of course blurring on X blurs in from the sides, and blurring on Y blurs in from the top and bottom. So again, if we're having some troubled areas on some edges, we can blur them or contract or expand them. We do also have some spill suppression available, and this will remove any leftover green. Now, you do want to be careful when dealing with this because you're replacing the green with grayscale, and it is possible to actually wash out the color in the image that you're working with. So just be aware of that when you're working with your spill suppression, and make sure that you don't overuse it and end up washing out your footage. We also have garbage matting available, and this brings in a hard line from the left, the right, the top, and the bottom. And this can be used to remove something that's left over in the scene, maybe a jib or a boom, or maybe your green screen doesn't completely fill the area, and we can use this to clean it up. And we'll take a look at how this works once we actually get into the set. So we've got our key set up, and we key over whatever is on the effects row. So anything that I punch up on the effects row now is what our talent is going to be keyed over, either a live input, our DDRs, text from our character generator, our background generator, whatever we want to key them over, we just punch it up on the effects row. Now that we've got the key looking good, we're ready to set up the virtual set. I'm going to come over to the live set area. And inside the live set area, I have two pop-ups. I have the scene pop-up and the shot pop-up. And the scene pop-up allows me to choose the virtual set that I want to work with. And as I mouse over the virtual sets, I get a little thumbnail preview of what each one of these sets is going to look like. And I can pick it and have an idea of what that set's going to look like before we use it. You'll notice that in my pop-up here, I have a variety of additional virtual sets down here. These sets are available in NewTek's LiveSet Sports Pack. So these are additional virtual sets that you can buy from NewTek that add additional functionality, things like 2 people on a virtual set instead of just 1 person on a virtual set, and a wide variety of other shot variables that we don't have in the virtual sets that come with the TriCaster. To access these virtual sets and their added functionality, you would want to purchase the LiveSet pack from your NewTek reseller. I'm going to go ahead and choose the Demo Studio. And the first thing that I can do to make sure that my talent is lined up properly is do what we call a camera alignment. So I'm going to, under the Shot pull down, choose Align Cameras and turn on the LiveSet. Now you'll notice when I turn on the LiveSet that it produces an outline. And we now want to zoom the camera in and out and pan the camera so that our talent is basically inside that outline. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it to be as close as we can. And this makes sure that the talent is going to be the appropriate size and aspect to fit into our virtual sets. I've got the camera aligner and I'm happy with my alignment. I'm now ready to put him into a virtual set. Now I have 3 different set shot variables here. I have a center shot, a close-up, and a right. And this is my center shot. He's aligned to the center shot aligner, and he's framed up right in the center of the frame. So we're going to choose center shot, and with LiveSet turned on, we now have placed him inside of a virtual set. Now once we place someone into a virtual set, we have variables down here, these thumbnails that show up in the interface. And these variables are sometimes levels of zoom or sometimes different versions of the scene, adding an over-the-shoulder monitor, things along those lines. Now this particular set is 4 levels of zoom, and you'll see that when I click on this thumbnail, we back him off to here, and then we back him off to here, and then we back him all the way off to here. Now I do want to zoom in a little bit and show you that with this particular incoming source, there's a black line that is traveling across the top. Because this is coming in from a DVD player, there is a black line that you normally wouldn't see because it's outside of the viewing area of the screen. But when we're shrinking this down and keying it on a polygon, you can see that we have this leftover black line that doesn't get keyed out. And this is the perfect item to use our garbage mat on. I can come to the top control here and just crank it down, and of course we can make that line disappear. Now if I keep going, we're going to cut right into him and we can just start to cut him off. So it is a hard line coming down from the top, but I just bring it down far enough to get rid of that line. And you'll even notice that that line causes a shadow in the final output because all of our shadows and reflections are all real time inside of the TriCaster. So we eliminate that line, we eliminate the shadow, we complete the illusion. Now again, we've got our 4 levels of zoom that we can work with this one input coming into the TriCaster. Now whenever we deal with a virtual set, a lot of times we'll have an on-screen monitor. We can put whatever we want in this on-screen monitor simply by punching it up on the effects row. Just like anything that you punch up on the effects row is what you were keying over when we didn't have the virtual set engaged. Once we engage the virtual set, now anything that we punch up on the effects row is what's going to show up in our on-screen monitor. And I can go ahead and play that video from our DDR. You can see now that we have video playing back. I go ahead and zoom in. You can see that video is actually being reflected in the desk. And we have an incredible virtual set illusion that we can work with. Now let's go ahead and set up another input. I'm going to come over to camera 3. Now this is the same person, but the camera angle is slightly different. And if we go ahead and fire up our camera aligner, we can see that this is set up for what we call a right camera or a right shot. So again, I do the same process that I did before. I'm going to pick the color green off of the interface. I'm going to go ahead and turn on Live Mat to establish the key. I could then tweak my key. And one thing I didn't show you last time we were tweaking the key is we do have a preview mode over here. And if I turn on the preview mode, it will just show me the mat. So I can look at the white area, make sure there are no sparkly areas in the center of it or anything like that, and really look at the key just as an alpha channel. And then turning off preview brings us back to the full color output. Now that I've got the key set up and I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and choose the set. And we're going to choose the same virtual set, but we're going to choose a different camera angle. We're going to choose the right camera angle as he was set up with the right camera aligner. And now, when I turn on the live set, he's also in the same virtual set, but as we back off with our 4 levels of zoom, you can see that we're backing off to the right of the desk instead of backing off to the center of the desk, or zooming into the center and backing off from the center as we do in this other shot. So we have established 2 different camera angles within the same virtual set here, both with 4 levels of zoom. Now that we have this set up, we can do something amazing. And we can start to do a switch between 8 virtual cameras. What I mean by that is I'm going to put camera 2 on preview, and I'm going to pick my establishing shot, my close-up shot, and I'm going to hit the enter key to take that over to my live output. And that's my establishing shot that I want to start with. Now I can choose which zoom level or variable I want to go to. Let's say I want to go to this one. I'm going to choose a fade from my transition area and hit the space bar. Now again, because preview swapped, I'm now adjusting the other virtual set, the one that's on preview. And I can choose a different focal length and transition to that. Again, yet a different focal length. I want to stay on my fade here, so I'll turn advance off. And we can fade out to there, and again to here, to here. And I have not duplicated a shot yet because we have 4 focal lengths and 2 incoming cameras. We have 8 virtual cameras that we can switch between. Now we can also put a different virtual set on every input coming into the TriCaster, and this opens up a wide variety of effects that we can achieve. We can literally have 2 people sitting right next to each other on a green screen with one camera framing one person out, a separate camera framing another person out, and they can both appear to be in very large virtual sets. So over here on input 3, we still have Rex inside the demo studio. I'm in the demo studio over here. Well, I'm going to come down here and choose a different virtual set for me. We're going to go with the world update set for me and choose the focal length that we want. Now Rex could be on camera as the anchor, and he wants to go ahead and send it over to me, and we can send it over to me in a completely different virtual set, yet Rex and I could be sitting right next to each other. Depending upon the TriCaster that you have, you can do this either 3 times with our 3 input versions of the TriCaster, or up to 6 times with our 6 input versions of the TriCaster. So I could have 6 people sitting side by side, and each one in their own huge virtual set. Now, some of the virtual sets also have another variable available under your shot pull down, and this is called a double box effect. And a double box effect is going to allow us to bring a piece of video. Again, whatever is in the effects bus is going to be our large video displayed in our output, and it keeps the talent inside of the virtual set environment still combined in the shot. So I can now start to talk about the video that's playing. Of course, I can play that video, and again, that can be any input coming into the TriCaster. It could be a live input, it could be something playing back from my DDRs, it could be a PowerPoint even playing from an external computer if we wanted it to be. So the double box effects are very cool effect inside of the TriCaster. In real time, we can swap the positions of the windows. We can go full screen on the talent. We can go full screen on the video that's playing back, and then instantaneously right back into the double box effect, still incorporating that piece of video in the monitor playing below the desk inside of the virtual set. Other variables that are available in the live set virtual set packs are things like a close-up shot. Close-up shot is what you're going to see me on camera right now. And in the close-up shot, I have variables that would add a monitor to this shot. See, when I add a monitor, it actually moves me over and makes room for the monitor that's going to be in the shot. This is all done automatically by the set. You just use the camera aligner to line up for a close-up shot. The virtual sets do the rest of the work. This particular set, the close-up version, comes with over-the-shoulder monitors over both shoulders, and then a different look for the monitor over my right shoulder, and then just a close-up shot on the talent themselves. We also have some virtual sets that are set up for full standing green screen, and these are represented by full standing silhouettes in the thumbnails. You would have to have full standing green screen input into the TriCaster to take advantage of those. but this would allow me to have the talent, the entire body, standing inside of a virtual set.